What's up, you guys, and welcome back to the Barrens Hideout Podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Anna, here with the Dustins as always, and we have a very special episode of Within the Barrens tonight, a very special interview. We hope you guys have listened to our Hell House Retrospective that we did for Halloween. We've been so lucky enough to have Joe Bandelli here with us here tonight. He's the producer, one of the actors in a couple of the movies. He's very hands-on in the Hell House franchise. Joe, welcome to the show.
Thank you all for having me. I'm very excited to be here and to chat with you all.
Yes, we're very excited to see if some of the theories we've talked about did come true, and if you can confirm which ones. Maybe.
I was going to say, you guys have a lot of Hell House content, so I haven't listened to everything. So
that's okay.
You guys are going to have to tell me the ones that you think are the best. Like I listened to, I listened to the whole Lineage one, and then I listened to most of the others, but not the whole thing. So I know with Lineage, there's definitely some threads that you guys are pulling on that I'm like, okay, yeah, you guys do.
Oh yeah, man, dude, I need to know. I'm sure we'll get to it.
Yes.
Well, it's funny.
Are you the father?
No.
Oh. Pull out the Maury card over on fucking Hell House Lineage, dude.
It is funny though, because I think one of the things that I always found very amusing is Steven, when we first started making the Hell House movies, I remember him always looking at like Reddit threads and reading what fans were actually saying. And like, to be very fair, I was always like, yeah, we're just going to make the movie that I like my mindset as a filmmaker is like, make the thing that you want to see, like make what you want.
100%.
And Steve was always like, well, actually the fans like this and the fans like this. So I think like a lot of stuff that like has gone into some of the movies has been stuff that probably has been inspired from fans. So I think I think that's also why this is such a cult franchise, because we have such an awesome, insane fan base, and wouldn't be able to do this if it wasn't for folks like you. So thank you guys.
Hell yeah, man. Hell yeah.
Of course.
All right. So usually when we do interviews, there's always a question I like to ask to kind of just like, break it open. It's very straightforward, very easy. It's just to know like what got you into wanting to do filmmaking. Was it as a kid, like just movies watching in general? Did you go to school? Like how did that kind of all get started for you?
Yeah, so I have an interesting it's like an 8-parter story. So brace yourself.
Let's go.
It's Hell House long.
So I've always been involved. Like I went to a high school that was a fine performing arts high school. So I've always been around theater. I was in theater when I was younger. I've always been around any type of performance. So for me, a lot of it was always in front of camera. And when I was the kid that in literature and like language arts classes, when it was like you can write a paper or you can shoot a video, I was the one shooting the video. So I had a lot of experience just kind of shooting and just anything I could do to be in front of camera as well as behind camera. And not to say that my family wasn't the most supportive, but I grew up in a family that no one was in the arts. So my family loved the arts, but it was kind of one of those things. Like I distinctly remember someone in my family being like, well, you're not Brad Pitt, so don't give it a shot. And so,
what the fuck, dude?
So I, at different phases of my life, like when I was getting ready to finish high school and I was applying to colleges, I was like, should I go to film school? And then, when I was in college, I was like, should I go to film school? Should I stop this or whatever? And I worked in a brief stint in law enforcement, and I worked in finance. Hated it so much. I did it to get into law enforcement. And then sort of the same thing that happens to Paul Dano's character in Little Miss Sunshine. I wasn't able to continue what I wanted to do because I'm partially colorblind. So that was like
I love that movie too. Oh,
a good one. So
yeah,
that was like a kick in the dick to me. So
for sure.
So I had this kind of moment where I was 24 years old, and basically I was working in finance to get in law enforcement. So I was doing something I hated just to get into the door to something I wanted to do. And then I was told I can't do the thing. Like in essence, I was told I can't like give, because I was law enforcement, like you're putting your life on the line. So I was told I can't do something that I wanted to do where I could put my life on the line and help other people because of something that I had no control over. And so that was like a dark moment for me. But
sure,
the last 6 months of me working in finance, I would wake up in the mornings, work out, go to work, go take my lunch. Didn't want to talk to anyone I worked with. Went in my car, ate my lunch, left, and then I'd go to the movie theaters and I'd watch 2 or 3 movies, go home, maybe watch another movie, and then go to bed. And that was like 6, 7, 8 months. And so when
Wow.
all of this stuff kind of started coming to fruition, I was like, what am I doing? I'm like, I always wanted to work in film. I've always wanted to do this. Like, I don't care. Like, I've saved up enough money. I'm just going to go back to film school. And the real question for me was, am I going to go back to film school or am I going to go back to acting school? And luckily for me, I was able to kind of do both, but I went to film school because I really sort of gravitated towards storytelling and I gravitated towards, being the person in charge of actually like crafting the story and building the story. And they always say like film is a director's and an editor's medium, and an actor would be theater. And I at that point I was more focused on film than I was on theater. So
Sure.
so film school it was, and then the rest is history.
Hell yeah.
That's awesome that you were in law enforcement. My wife currently is in law
Nice.
enforcement. She's an evidence specialist.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
but the stories she tells me, man, like the shit y'all had to go through and what you deal with on a daily basis is just a
It's
horror story on its own, you know?
Yeah, I mean, but listen, it's crazy because I think things have changed so much since like when I was a kid, my grandfather was in the army, and I was so like, this is a cause to like you can give your life for something bigger than you, and it was like this pride thing and like represent my country and really love my country and everything. Nowadays,
Yeah.
man, if I was in the military or law enforcement representing my country, like I don't know how great I would feel about it in this current like status. So.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
I made the right choice in my opinion, but
Yeah.
I understand that completely. Yeah.
Yeah.
But where did you and Steven meet? Like, how did those paths cross?
yeah. So when I finished film school, I did everything I can to get on every single set, and for like a couple years, I was working as an AC and as a gaffer on a lot of sets. And then I had an experience where someone said to me, "No one's ever going to take you seriously as a writer, director, producer." Unless you're actually writing, directing, and producing, and that's the only thing that you're doing. So I went through a period of like not saying yes to jobs, and it was a big like financial like takedown because
Yeah.
I was just like creating my own content. I was worked for 2 or 3 different sketch comedy groups, and I was writing, shooting, directing, producing, and I was building up money to finance my first feature that I was going to direct. And while that was happening, I got a really lucky gig working for Best Buy in like the district of Manhattan. So I think there's 7 or 8 Best Buys, and I was hired to shoot sketch comedy for the stores for like their intro.
Oh, hell yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
wow.
the guy who hired me, his name's Phil Chakra. Well before his time, like he was a guy who he still is, but he was one of those people who recognized like internal like company like camaraderie is something that like will make people work harder and make people like want to be there. So he had this whole thing about like writing sketches and doing everything, and he also was really into live before anyone knew what like live production was in terms of like live streaming. And so I got to like start doing live streaming, and then I started working for a live streaming company and all this other shit. But basically, one of the guys that I was working with at Best Buy, he would do most of the live stuff and I would do some of the sketch. And then whenever he had bigger things for live, he would bring me on and I'd help him shoot it. So like whenever Lady Gaga or Dr. Dre would release an album, they'd do like a quick 2 or 3 camera shoot, and I would help him with it. And that guy is Adam Schneider, who plays Mac. So
Okay.
he and
No
I,
way.
yeah, so he and I knew each other really well from working for like a couple of years. And I know that he had acted in a lot of things and he was good friends with Steven. So basically, around the time that I was telling him that I was saving up all my money because I wanted to go make a feature, he's like, do you know anyone who's producing horror features? Because I have a friend who would like to talk with them. And like, I kind of made a decision to myself really early on in my career. Most directors, if you're directing the things that you want and not just the things that people are making you direct, if you're choosing what you get and you have an opportunity to direct, you're really going to make, 2 to 3 movies, maybe 4 a decade. So
Wow.
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, making one feature is, I mean, and even look at, I forgot her name, but Coralie, the woman who did this.
Oh, Corley Farge.
Yeah,
She's done Revenge and then The
right.
Substance, I
And it
think.
was, what's it, like 8 years between the two? So like,
Yeah, big gap.
so like most directors, aren't fortunate enough to be like a Chris Landon where you're directing a movie every year or something like that. Most directors are usually doing something every 3 years, 4 years, something like that. And I realized really early on in my career, I joined this big party of filmmaking for collaboration, and I like that I have a vision for things, but I like sharing it with people, and I like hearing other people's perspectives and bringing together other people. I think people together can always make things better than you doing it on your own. And I had that realization when I was, around that time, because I was doing everything to work on my feature. And so I had to stop doing all the other things, which was all these other collaborations with other people. So I made a decision that when Adam asked me, I was like, you know what? I'm like, I would do it. I'm like, I know how to produce. And like my brain is always like from the law enforcement, from everything. Like I have a very structured brain.
Plus finance too. I'm sure that
Yeah.
helped having
Oh,
that
yeah.
knowledge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I was like, yeah, I'll meet him. And so, and because my whole thing was, if I'm going to work on projects, I want to work on things that I like, and I want to work with people that I like. And I'd rather make 10 movies in 10 years as opposed to 1 or 2 movies in 10 years.
Sure.
And so that's kind of how Steven and I met. And that was around 2013. And he had already written the first draft of Hell House, and it was a narrative film, and he was in the process of rewriting it to be a found footage film because he realized he
That's
wasn't
interesting.
able to afford it. Yeah. So when I came on board, and we got along really well, and when I came on board, he was close to being done with the found footage draft, and he had already met Angie, who runs the Waldorf estate in Lehighton, Pennsylvania, which is where the Abaddon Hotel is. So
Right.
those were the two things that were already a part of it before I came on, and then I came on, and I think Steven, really early on. I mean, we were both early in our careers, and he wasn't the most technical person, so he was like, I need help on those fronts. He's like, I need to know who to hire, and I was like, listen, I was like, I'm going through this exact same thing directing my first feature, and I think we made Hell House in the spring of 2014, and I directed my first feature in the fall of 2014. So I was going through a lot of the same things that he was going through, and I said to him, I was like, listen, I'm here for you, whatever you need. I think my job is to make sure that you have whatever you need and to clear every single obstacle out of your way so that you can tell the story the best way you want to tell the story. And so that's kind of what I did. And I'll be honest, I never thought it was going to be what it became. Even when we shot it, the one thing I can say that was like when we did it, I was like, oh man, this is going to be really fucking cool. Was the whole malfunction sequence. That whole thing. I think of all of the things that we've done in Hell House, me personally, that's the thing that I'm the most proud of. Because we had a 7-person team, like we were 7, 8-person crew, and Angie is so incredible, and she had so many contacts. And I remember we had like 150 or 200 extras. We had the police department, we had the fire department, and we had all for free. And I remember the day that everyone showed up, and I remember like Steve was like, "Oh shit." And like I remember just like I just switched into like alpha mode, and I was like, "Listen, you worry about your cast, you worry about the A plot line. I'll take care of every other thing." And I grabbed our AD, I grabbed one of our best PAs, or I guess our only PA, and I was like, "Listen, we're splitting these groups into 50, 50, 50. This is how we're going to do it. We're going to start people here." And then I broke everyone into groups, and I was able to like put people in different places so that Steve actually was, I'm sure you guys probably know this, but he was the one filming the YouTuber.
The camera guy.
He's the one shooting that whole thing. So basically, I built sections of groups. So like if his group was section 4, I had 3 different groups ahead of him at different phases in the haunt, and then 3 groups behind him, so that as like things are happening and when people stop and whatever, there's people coming behind you, or when you go ahead. And because the place was a haunted house attraction, it had trap doors and secret doors. So I was in hoodies and like black hoodies and everything, going like I'd be behind Steve, and as they turn a corner and something would happen, I'd go in a trap door, tap another person, they'd start doing their thing. So when he came, it was just so cool. And like at the end, when Mac is like telling the people, when the door locks and he tells people to come follow him out the side exit, and everyone goes, I'm the last person out. You just see a person in a black hoodie, and I have a walkie and I'm triggering it and just like flicking it the whole time for the fire department to come. And there's a camera and a person with a camera right in front of me, so that right when they come out and turn the corner, they're all coming down. And it was that was so cool. So that was
your
like,
adrenaline must have been pumping. Like
I was. But that, like, to do that now, like to do that where we're at in our careers, if we were to do that in any other place, if we shot that in New York, we shot that in LA, Atlanta, Vancouver, that would cost us millions of dollars to pull that off. And we did it for nothing. So
that's awesome.
What you just did is you now caused Anna to want to go back and watch these movies and go back with a finer tooth comb. She doesn't have it with her, but she has like this whiteboard of like shit she's written.
It's right behind her.
Oh, it's right there.
But that was honestly when I first watched Hell House for the first time, that whole opening shot and the malfunction was what hooked me from the jump.
Yep.
And just that guy in the basement who just kept yelling, "Go, go." He was so believable. I was like, y'all better go. Get.
Go on now.
Get.
Love that.
That whole first movie, though, is so brilliant. I mean, they all are in their own way, but just the way that everything unfolds is...
Listen, I will be very bluntly honest with you guys. They're not all great, in my opinion.
Okay, so
we know that. You know, I remember I directed a documentary about the making of the Paranormal Activity franchise. And I remember when I was interviewing people, like I interviewed Jason Blum, and I remember sitting down and I remember wanting to be like, okay, Ghost Dimension, like why a 3D? And like the second I brought it up to any of the filmmakers, they were like, oh, that was the worst fucking decision. We didn't want to do it. And I was like, oh, okay, so you guys are similar. You guys are on the same page with me. And the same thing, I will say this. We know that, like, obviously the first one is by far the best one. There's ones that we have publicly said are our favorite ones, and there's ones that, we wish we could take another
of course.
So I've publicly said it here that 3 is probably my least favorite out of all.
You're wrong.
Yeah, shut up. but it's mainly because this movie, particularly the first one, I love that it's a haunted house movie doing haunted house shit a lot. I like that a lot, and the cult aspect of it is the last 2.5 minutes of this movie.
Yeah.
How the third one is so dependent on telling the story of the cult. I was like, I just want it to be a haunted house. I just want scary shit happening.
No, and listen, I think, one of the things that Steve did with his writing and what he did in a lot of these movies, and I've been very, direct with him a lot of this. Half the time I'm a big fan and on board with him, and half the time I don't like it, is he laid breadcrumbs over and over and over again. And I know, like, I remember being like, man, there's so many threads to pull on, that when we did get to Lineage and he wanted to close it, I was like, there's no way our audience is going to be happy with us, because we're never going to be able to like finish everything and close all the storylines and do all that stuff. And that was something that he really wanted to keep doing, and really wanted. I think he was a big Lost fan, so he just wanted to go down this rabbit hole of all
makes
these
sense,
things. But to your point, like I think that's the reason why some of the sequels, I think the fourth one is probably the closest to the first.
Very.
The reason why I think some of them suffer is because they get too complicated. And the first one was about haunted house shit, and that's what made it the scariest. So
But the second one had a lot of potential, man. The second one's my favorite one. Like,
wow,
I love
my least favorite.
The Abaddon Hotel.
Yeah.
Oh man,
wow. I like two.
What I like
that might be my least favet too. I think I put 2 at the very end.
You did.
You did.
I didn't like the Scooby-Doo ending, like Tully revealing who he is and telling everyone why he's.
I have a question about Mitchell, but we'll get to that.
So epic, though. I thought so.
But
he was scary.
But the second one, what I've really liked was the vignette style of storytelling.
Yeah.
And Anna and Dustin and I have talked in depth. Like, that's if this franchise were to go anywhere, like even like on social media or a YouTube channel, that's what it should be. Is like 11 to 15 minute inserts of someone else's story encountering the Abaddon.
Yeah.
Short films.
Dude, because you get those 2 guys that come from that fashion show and they pick up the girl.
Right.
That is so fucking scary.
No, you're 100% right. I say this to everyone. Steve and I have both publicly said 2 is our least favorite movie. But I will say this. The scariest moment in all of the films for me is in 2. It's the one where the kid goes into the house and walks in and sees the person on the
And he's-
stairs.
Yes,
Yes,
I'm
that one
telling
is-
And then
you.
they never moved, and you expect them to move, but they never do. That's terrifying.
So that
until the
image
camera's
is
dying.
burned in my brain for the rest of my life.
Anna, why you
I
do
think-
that?
For me, the contender is in Origins with peeking around the corner.
That hallway
That
scene.
is so fucked, man.
Yep.
No,
Yeah.
never.
No,
If I walk
it's,
into
in
a place, I
Orange
see that.
it's
I'm
when
out.
the clown goes in Chase's room. That shit
Oh.
is so scary.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I've come on here and I said, other than that hallway scene, like I thought the scariest part in the entire franchise was when you and Brock go into that room with the planchette, and you guys are like, have those nooses been here this whole fucking time?
Right.
I don't think so, Brock.
And the pan around of that girl sitting in the chair, and like she's not looking, then boom, she's looking at you.
Mhm.
That is one of it got beat out by Origins, but that I've gone out and said that is the scariest scene in the entire franrise.
Good scene.
Yeah.
It's a good scene.
It's-
I'm not going to
it's-
knock any scene that I was in. So
But no, it's fucking awesome, man. Like, and like I said, I've gone on the record by defending the Abaddon Hotel, but like you just said, like that ending, though Tully's villain speech is fucking epic, I didn't
think so.
need
Right.
just I didn't need it. I needed it just to be scary shit, but I did like how later on we as a collective kind of like tied in certain things, and we could be wrong, we could be right as to our speculations as why Tully did that.
Yep.
So yeah, I'm an Abaddon Hotel defender, and I don't apologize for it.
I still think Mitchell deserves to be on that fucking island for what he did.
On the
man.
island, yeah.
Choosing himself, so goddamn selfish, man.
I don't know. It was selfish for the right reasons. He didn't know her. Why are you going to die for her?
Anna, explain the island just real quick.
So we have an island. It's called Fuckum Island,
Okay.
and we once this island gets to 5, that's when they battle to the death, and then one remains to be the worst person ever. So far, we have Juno from The Descent.
Mhm.
We have Eric from the Evil Dead remake, 2013,
Oh, yeah,
and we
he's-
have Yeah, he does. We have Susan.
Fuck Eric, dude.
Fuck Eric. We have Susan from Deep Blue Sea.
Okay.
And
Oh, yeah.
now we have Alex from
Okay.
Hell House.
Oh
So
wow, Alex is in there, man.
Alex is on
Yeah,
there.
yeah,
He's our
he
most
deserves it.
recent.
So here's the
inhabitant.
question for you. You said 5, then they fight to the death.
Mhm.
Does 1 survive, and then now you add 4 more people, and then they fight again?
Yep.
Correct.
How many
Yeah.
times have you guys?
Continuation.
How many times?
We haven't
wow.
battled yet.
No,
Yeah.
yeah,
Oh, wow.
we have
Almost.
Anna and I have defended why Mitchell doesn't belong there,
Okay.
because
Yeah.
Dustin did propose that Mitchell belonged there. Then that would have been the 5. Then they would have battled.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
I love that.
So like I can kind of tell just based on social media that it's at least the first Hell House crew, like all the actors seem to be still really close.
Yeah.
Did it feel that way when you guys were on set too? Like did it initially
Yeah.
feel that way? Did everybody get close really quick and all
Yeah,
that?
so I would say this. So on that first movie, like that's where we caught lightning in a bottle. And I think I love every crew member and every cast that we've worked with on this franchise, but there was something magical about those 5. Like they and it was very obvious. We would finish shooting, we would all go to the bar, we'd leave because we have to work the next day. They would stay to 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning getting drunk together and hanging out.
Damn.
And then wake
Aw.
up and the next day all be there. And it literally felt like on set, like they had been friends for 20 or 30 years. So that's why I think
That's awesome.
that's why that movie still stands the test of time and is always on these lists, is because found footage movies, even though people like it's funny, when a found footage movie is successful, more often than not, the person or people who get the most success and get the most like career trajectory moving forward are the filmmakers. But you probably need really, really incredible actors. Not to say you don't need them in narrative films, but in narrative films, you can cut around people's performances. And if someone doesn't do a good job, you can make them look good. In found
Yeah.
footage, you need people to be believable and need them to like really carry a lot. And like, I'm sure you guys have seen Blair Witch, Paranormal Activity. And then, I mean, those are the big ones, but like any other one, you're not with a found footage movie, people are kind of making up a lot of their backstory and bringing a lot to it. And that's what we did with this group was I remember we had times we were planning technical shots and Steve would be like, here's the camera, go shoot something over there and just make sure you talk about this. And they would just go shoot and come back and we'd be like, this is fucking incredible. Like we're putting this in the movie.
Awesome.
So yeah.
so cool.
That and when you have that type of success, you're chasing that the rest of the time. You're trying to get that back. And again, I think all of our cast has been incredible, but I think with 2 and 3 specifically, I think it was way too scripted and not enough, not like it wasn't as loose as the first movie was.
As organic.
Yeah, it was very like you have to say these things. The television show has to say these things. The villain has to say these things. And I think we lost some of that with the second and the third one. And I think that's the reason why the fourth one is actually probably the closest to the first, is because not only did we go a little looser with the script and everything, but our like 4 or 5 casts that we brought together, the 3 Carmichaels, and then Destiny and Bridget, who play Margot and Rebecca, they like, man, they went so far above and beyond. They created backstories. I'm sure you guys probably saw this, but like the 2 of them and then Victoria, who plays Margaret Carmichael, they went and started shooting in haunted locations and created a website that had the videos of what Margot's character was shooting at prior to going to the Carmichael Manor. And they like the day before the movie came out, they like reached out to Steve and I and they're like, hey, can we show you something? And they were like, are we allowed to put this out? And we were like, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Fuck
So,
yeah,
like,
dude.
but like that type of like commitment and that type of, and again, not to say the cast in 2, 3, and 5 didn't have that type of commitment, but like you had people that were like, oh shit, I'm gonna live this and this is my life. And like I think that translates on film.
It does.
Yeah.
100%. Yeah.
And I wonder if, like, from 1 to Origins, if like these characters, like these actors and actresses are just fans of the franchise, period, and they wanted to just even not do what they were asked to do, but like we want to do this because we just believe in this franchise.
Well,
and that's what I find awesome.
You know what's really cool? So the first, I think most of our cast was like 30s plus. And so when
old asses.
When we did that first movie, all of them were around like 28, 29, 30, 32, around that range.
Mm-hmm.
When we did the fourth one, all of those girls are like 22. Like they're all like, Hell House was their first like movie that they
was exactly, that's awesome.
So when they found out like through the audition process that this was Hell House, they were like ecstatic. Like I remember it was so cute. I remember Bridget, she actually got an opportunity to do a play, I think somewhere in the Midwest, and it coincided with us shooting the movie, and she didn't know what to do. And we were like, yeah, I mean, do whatever you need to do. Like we really want you to play this role or whatever. And she chose the play. And then like, I think the first day she was doing the play, she like completely backed out of it and was like, nope. She's like, something's telling me I need to go do this thing. And she came back to us and she's like, can I do that? And we were like, absolutely. Like, we want you in this and so on and so forth. But like, there was it was weird because, you know, I've never felt like it's a family. When you make a movie, it's a family. Everyone's there for one another. I felt on that set like these girls were so incredibly grateful that we were giving them this opportunity, and like they were not going to do anything to screw this up. And that's the attitude and the energy that they went into every single scene with. And like the thing that I hated the most is, you guys know this, anything comes out, it doesn't matter. Like, you guys might love the movies. There's a whole bunch of people that hate the movies. Like, there's everything that's out there on the internet is so crazy subjective. And I know that like Bridget specifically, like so many people would say, you're incredible. You led the movie. You were so great. And then there were a lot of people that were like, you ruined the movie. And like, I just felt bad for, you know, a 22, 23-year-old girl
it's tough
about herself in this franchise. And like, I always made sure that like we let everyone in our cast, specifically that group, know like how incredible they were and how proud we were, and how lucky we were to work with them. So, but yeah,
that's great.
Yeah, the cast.
I mean,
yeah,
it's, you guys are working on like smaller budgets and you're doing smaller scaled stuff. So I always get really bummed out with criticisms with stuff like that, because you got to realize like what everybody else is working with these. Like, right. Yes, this at that time there would have been 3 other movies out, and this is the 4th one. So you'd be like, oh, the budget's going to be bigger, which like in some cases probably yes.
Yeah.
But still, I have such love for this series because of how indie it is, for
Yeah.
how on
Yeah.
the ground and not up in the sky that it is, because it just feels so, in a weird way, very homey. Like I feel at home when I'm watching these movies, even though
Oh,
people are
Yeah,
being
they're comfy.
terrified.
Yeah.
They're
You know,
comfy.
but listen, we're in the entertainment business. Like it's a
exactly.
business. Like we very much understand that, or at least I very much understand that. Like I know for sure that like sometimes you're good, sometimes you hit it out of the park, and sometimes you don't. And I've always said because there was a thing that was going around online about I think our sales agent mentioned something online about like, hey, don't give us bad reviews or something. And like Steve and I were like, whoa. They're like,
I
we
heard
never
about
said
that
that. We're like, we never said
actually.
that. Like, we want people to tell, like, if you didn't like the movie, tell us you didn't like the movie. Like, this is
Yeah.
the whole thing that like these movies have become uh, these movies open doors for both Steve and me in our careers, and we've been able to tell other stories, and we're going to be able to continue to grow within our careers because of Hell House. So we would never want to stifle someone's opinion. Like someone who thinks the movie's terrible is their opinion just as valuable as someone who thinks the movie's
Sure.
great. The fun thing is you get to talk about it and you get to engage on it and you get to have those conversations. And to your point, Dustin, like there's movies that are made for $50 million that suck, and there's movies that are made
Yep.
Yes.
for $50,000 that
Yes.
suck.
Right.
You hope that the people making the movies actually care. And that's the one thing I know, and that's the reason why I've been a part of this franchise for 10 years is we care. And
Yeah.
that's been, you go through, Steven and I have made 6 movies together, the 5 Hell Houses and then A25 Forest Road. And you don't always get along. You don't always have the same opinions. You don't always have there's always creative differences. But at the end of the day, when there's respect and you guys care about one another and you care about the product, that's where I think the whole Hell House thing came about.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Um,
Oh, go ahead, Dustin.
I was just going to ask one thing that I think maybe it was during Lineage, we were talking about this, and I don't know if you can speak upon it, but I want to bring it up, is that there was supposed to be like a mini series.
The Abaddon tapes. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So yeah, I can definitely talk about that. So
Yes.
basically after
Anna's like, oh yeah.
so after the third movie, Steve and I were like, we're done. Like it was a trilogy. Like that's all we were doing. We were ready to move on to other things. We moved on to A25 Forest Road. And we started talking about doing the Abaddon tapes. And so Steve and I together wrote 6 treatments for 6 episodes. Each episode took place in a different era. So basically, episode 1 was
Fuck
Oh.
yeah.
2 was the 80s, 3 was the 90s, 4 were the 2000s, 5 was the 2010s, and then 6 would be present day. And so
Oh.
we basically created a story and pulled about some stuff that did some of the stuff that did play out in Lineage and Origins. But like we had an episode that like was about Tully and how he created the cult. And then we had, an episode in the 90s, which was all about Patrick Carmichael, and it was about the people missing from the town fair and the Rockland County Fair and all that kind of stuff. So we kind of poked on a bunch of different things with the hopes of giving everyone sort of how the cult started, where we got to, and who's involved today. And
Okay.
but there was no way, like we made the first 3 movies for 60, 50, and $85,000 each.
Wow.
Damn.
There was no way. The reason why we've never gone back in time and really played with the 80s and the 90s and all that kind of stuff is those are period pieces, and to really do them effectively and stay in those time frames, you need the right technology, you need the right wardrobe, the right production design, you need a lot of those things, and that drives your budget up insanely quick. So
Yeah.
we never had that when we were making these movies, and like luckily we did have able to bring that in with the Carmichael Manor and the Carmichaels in the 80s and everything, but we weren't able to go out to places or do anything in town and bigger with like a lot of characters. So we were asking for a significantly higher budget than what we were doing, and no one wanted to give us the budget. And so
Right.
we sort of like we're like, okay, I guess this thing is going to die, and sort of left, and we kind of like put it aside. And then when Steve said he wanted to do Origins, he kind of grabbed one of the storylines that we were planning on for one of the episodes and kind of played with a little bit of that. And it wasn't exactly what we wrote. It was like a variation of it, and then
Sure.
and that's sort of when because I think a lot of people always talk about the clown. That choosing that direction was when the clowns sort of became like the clown's always been in them, but the clown like the original trilogy, like it's about Tully and the cult. Like Tully and the cult are the villains.
Mhm.
Right.
When you get into the newer stuff, obviously you guys have seen Lineage. It's all about the clown, and that's where sort of like we went in that direction to kind of play with the clown.
Mhm.
Which I love, by the way. Like, just to hit on this really quick before the other two want to pull their questions too, and we had a huge discussion about this during Lineage 2. It's like, I think it's kind of to some people's detriment in a way that if you went to go see Lineage and you haven't seen any of the other Hell House movies,
Yep.
you're kind of left in the dark.
And that was one of the things that was one of the things from the start that I wasn't a huge fan of. I realized, and Steve has acknowledged this as well. He wrote the movie for fans. And so I wish we would have done another pass on it, because the movie itself, when we made Origins, we had an opportunity to do a limited theatrical release. And right when we were about to sign a deal with Alamo Drafthouse, that's when Taylor Swift announced that she was doing her Eras tour in theaters.
Freaking
boy.
Taylor Swift stifled Hell
Yeah.
House.
So basically, what happened was
Send her to the island.
send her to-
Never.
No, it's not her fault.
Not
Like, I don't
T
know.
Swift. Sorry.
But so
Just
what
our
happened
agents.
was AMC, for the first time ever, decided to start buying up other venues' time to actually distribute, because they've never done that before. So they were buying up Alamo Drafthouse, Regal, Cinemark, all those other places. And so it was like a no-brainer. Like, play Hell House Origins for a week or two, or play the Eras tour that's going to sell out every single show. And it's like, yeah, of course. So that's what we loved.
Sure.
So I think when we went into the last one, and Steve was like, this is going to be the last one, he wanted to sort of pay a tribute to the fans and give the fans a lot of the breadcrumbs and stuff that we've been laying throughout the franchise. But that was one of the things that I was like, well, listen, like, we know we're going to get a limited theatrical because we had it for the other one. So we know going into this, we're going to go into that. If you're opening up the doors to a bigger audience, there's something about, like, you need to make things more simple, and you need to make things not as complex, because that's the biggest thing that we heard from a lot of people. And that's the biggest thing that the movie, I think, gets shit on about, is the fact that, like, even fans go into it and they're like, I don't even know who that person, like, I have to go back and rewatch all of these movies just to make sure I understand all of that. And I guess on, like, the finance side, I guess that's great to make people go watch all of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like, that's not a great idea. You know, you're now hitting a broader audience. Like, Terrifier hit a broader audience and they hit it out of the park. We hit a broader audience. We didn't really do the same. And I think that's one of the things that I regret, because I wish we would have worked on having a really good film as opposed to paying tribute to the fans. Because I think if we would have had a really good film, it also would have paid tribute to the fans. So
Yeah.
Sure.
yeah.
I'm just gonna say right now, Lineage is my favorite. That's my number one.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah, I liked it.
I
We were
disagree. That's okay.
You
were
disagree with that,
fortunate.
Ethan?
I disagree. But that's okay.
Yeah, in this
You know,
round,
it's funny. It's funny, when I was listening to most of the stuff, a lot of the things that I was picking up on was the fact that the two Dustins like Lineage and you do not.
Well,
I don't blame
I'm
you.
just-
Like, I literally don't blame you. I'm not going to
I'm-
bullshit you guys. I will tell you, like, my honest opinion on things too. So I get it. I very much, like, when Steve presented the script to me, I read it and I said to him, I said, why are we doing it narrative? And he said, it's the last one. I want it to be narrative. I can tell scares better if I do it narrative. I can't do it if I do it found footage. And I was like, okay. And I was like, but make it a story point for why we have to do it narrative. And he was like, no, I just want to make it narrative. And I was like, just make it, give me something. And he was like, listen, he's like, if I make another found footage movie, my heart is not going to be in it. And if my heart's not in it, it's going to be a shitty movie. And I was like, okay. I'm like, I get that. And I understand that. And I get, for your own, like, creative sake, you need to do what you need to do to tell the best version of the story for you. So that's why we went in the found footage direction. I always wanted a story point as to why we're shifting from found footage to narrative. Like, I'm not sure if you guys saw Shelby Oaks, but Shelby Oaks does an
Not
incredible
yet.
job. The whole opening of the movie is found footage, and then for the title credits, it shifts into narrative. They do such a great job of it. And
wow.
and I wish, like, we had done something like that. But then the second thing, and I'm sure we'll get to this, but the second thing is, when I finished the script, I said, we're doing two movies, right? Like, this is a part one of part two.
Yep. Oh,
Yes.
I said that too. I
we
said that
all
too.
were like,
Yes, and I do want
and
that.
Steve said yes. And I was like, okay. And the funny thing about it was when we started hiring people, you can ask any of the cast or any of the crew who worked on the movie, are their contracts, everything that I drew up for everyone was Hell House LLC Lineage Part 1. And
Oh, that's
and then at some point, Steve said to me, "Well, we're not going to do the two. The two can be the second part is up to whoever down the line ever wants to make it, but we're done after
Yeah,
that."
which I think is what we were talking about too
And
on that
I was
episode
like,
too.
and
Yeah.
me personally, like again, like I go about these things thinking about them exactly about how I would be. I know that if I made a movie where I put a massive cliffhanger at the end of the movie and then told everyone I was never going to make one of these movies again, it would be so polarizing that so many people would be upset with me. And I, as a fan, would expect to go into a fifth movie that's supposed to be the last in the franchise, at least closing the door on whatever the biggest thing is that you're telling in that script. So those are the two biggest things that I had issues with from the start. And again, I told you guys this earlier. My job, especially on these movies, my job is to create an environment for everyone to feel safe and able to do their jobs. And for Steve specifically, it's to get everything out of his way so that he can tell the story the best version that he wants to tell. And like I said, there are times that he's done that, and I've been super supportive and on his side and agreed with everything he did. And there's times that it didn't work out. And so at the end of the day, I think he told the story that he wanted to tell. And I think, obviously there's 3 fans here. 2 of you liked it, and 1 of you probably.
Well, I mean that's my biggest gripe is that it feels like it's part 1 of a 2-part finale, we don't. When I think of it in final terms, I don't have all the answers,
Right.
And who knows how it could be 20 years before somebody
Right.
decides to dust Hell House off the shelf
Right.
and be like, "Hey, I'm going to finish this. We're going to keep going."
I mean, listen, I've said this all the time. Like, never say never. I know that Steve's moving on to other projects. I'm moving on to other projects. I know that creatively, us. We love Hell House. We love what it's done for us. We love our fans. We love everyone who's talked about it. People
are ready to move on.
Yeah, I mean, creatively, it's just, I don't know how many people, the creative team, it's the 2 of us. I don't know how many people have stayed through an entire franchise from start to finish. Like most times,
not many.
No, they usually dip out after the second one.
Right.
Yeah.
And so to be with a movie for a decade, like we're extremely grateful that we've had the opportunity to do that. And we know it's a very unique thing that we've had the opportunity to do. But at the same time, like we're both ready for more and new and different and like more original content, other things out there. We've grown so much. We really want to tell other stories. And like the funniest thing about this, even for me specifically, is people know me in the horror industry as the Hell House producer and the clown. But I'm a director first. So like for me, it's like, yeah, I don't want to continue to be known as this producer who made the Hell House franchise.
That's
like, I'm happy
fair.
and I wear that as a badge of honor. But like I'm writing and directing and I'm putting together other projects. I want people to see the stories that I'm writing. And so like and Steve has other stories and everything. So we want to creatively challenge ourselves and grow. And unfortunately, I think when you do a franchise, you have to, it's this balance of telling an interesting story and also paying tribute to what's come before and giving more breadcrumbs and feeding the storylines of the past. And you can't really get away from that. And like, that's the reason why if you guys are Star Wars fans, like I thought when Rian Johnson did, was it the 8th Star Wars? I thought it was one of the best Star Wars I've ever seen, but most people hated it because it was so different than any other Star Wars. And like, that's what happens when you get creative and try to do something new is your fans that you've built that have supported you, that love you, they don't want you to tell something new and different. And this industry is really interesting because when you have success in this industry, when money comes, when people come, when contacts come, when all these teams, when you get a team, when you get reps, when you get all that kind of stuff, they want you to make the same thing over and over and over again.
It's like, tell a Star Wars.
We see it all the time. Yeah.
I mean, that's why Steve's made 5 of these. Like that's, you know what I mean? And it's like, it's really challenging because like for me, for instance, I love really dark shit, but I also love comedy. And so I have like, I did a horror comedy. I did like a spoof movie called Another Cabin in the Woods movie. And I have another one that I'm going to do. And like everyone in my circle is like, don't do it. Like, don't do it. Like you just did 2 dark movies. I just did a proof of concept short film called The Sequence. And it's fucked up, and everyone's like, "No, keep going in the fucked up direction."
I want to watch that because isn't that something Danny Bellini was in, or Was he doing something different? I've been
For-
seeing you both post stuff, and
Yeah,
I
so
feel
no,
like
so Danny has two short films out there. He has one that he made years ago and then just kind of came back to it and finished it off, and that's actually doing really well.
okay,
And he has another one that him and Gore Abrams, who plays Paul,
that's what I've
they
been
wrote
seeing. Yeah.
together and they're in it together, and that's actually doing really well. So yeah, but no, we're, like again, we said we're a family. Like I support
Right.
everything that these guys want to do. Like I can't, like I would love to work with those guys again. We talk about it all the time, but I think
Mhm.
yeah, it's we're family, so we're gonna support each other.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And I think too, at least for me, I'm excited to see what you're going to do next and what Steven's going to do next, even if it's not Hell House. I
Yeah.
think as much as I love this franchise and I know how much heart you both have put into it, I only know that that's just going to keep coming from whatever you guys put out. So I'm all
Thank you.
in for whatever else you guys are bringing to the table. Our friend Daniel, actually, he was on our Hell House Lake of Fire episode. He had a hot take and said that was his favorite.
Okay.
So I was like, oh my God, I never hear this. You're coming on this episode. And he had a question, and it was, how early into the conception of Hell House, the first one, were the clowns added? And were they always going to be a major part? I guess you kind of answered half that whenever the Carmichael Manor part came into things.
Well, so I mean, I have a more in-depth answer for you too. So
Okay.
when we did the first Hell House, we had a clown in the scenes, and Steve hired someone to make a clown mask, and we got it the day that we started shooting.
Oh wow.
It was not good. Like it was just like it was like, oh man, this is not scary. This
I'll
is
put this right on the fridge.
right. What happened was Angie, because we were shooting at a haunted house attraction, she had most of the stuff there that we used in the movie. So she's like, hey, I have this clown mask. Do you want to use it? So she showed us the clown mask that became the Hell House LLC clown. But we were like, we got to make modifications to it. So we sort of did what they did with like the Captain Kirk, Michael Myers thing. Like we changed up some things. We added the blood. We had our special effects person kind of mess around with it a little bit and make it a little bit different. And when we shot the first movie, we were doing things like trial and error. So like the scene with Paul and the little girl, we shot it with Paul and the clown, and we shot it with Paul and the girl. And we looked and said like, which one's better, which one? And it was so much better with the little girl than it was with the clown. But we did that a whole bunch of other times in the movie. Like there's probably footage somewhere of like the little girl in the scene when they come out instead of the clown down there and things like that. So we had options for us when we got into post-production. I think when we did that first one, it basically like everyone in the cast wore the clown costume. It was when you're not on screen, someone else put the clown costume on and someone else wore the costume.
Just like Halloween 1978.
Exactly.
Everybody was in that suit.
And so when we got to the second one, so let me ask you guys this before I finish this question. What year did you guys watch the first Hell House?
I watched it because Lineage or Origins was dropping.
Got it. So it would have been around 2022, right?
Yeah.
Okay, 2022.
I want to say I watched it maybe like 2019.
Okay.
I think I was about the same right there with Anna as well.
Right. So that movie came out in 2015. So the thing is when people say like Hell House is this cult thing, we didn't even really know that it was a cult thing until 2018, 2019. So by the time we finished the third movie was when people started saying how good the first one was. So when we got into the second one, Steve had one cool sequence with the clown with its arm moving or whatever and the door shutting and everything, and he was like, put that in there, and he's like, but I need my whole cast in it, and I was like, well, I'll just wear the costume, like I'll do it. So I was like, yeah, like it's guerrilla filmmaking, let's do it. So I put the costume on and I wore it in that movie. And then everyone liked it on set and everyone had fun with it and everything. So when we made the third movie, it's like, cool, I'm going to wear the clown costume throughout this whole thing. But he wrote the character Louis for me. So I had a bigger role than I usually had. Like I was always playing camera guys that always get killed.
Yeah.
And so that was it. That was a running joke between him and I. Is he put me in the first movie as Jonathan, because that end sequence of going outside the house, inside the house, upstairs to 2C was a very, very complex shot. And we had our cast shooting everything. And he didn't want the cast shooting it because he wanted to make sure when we turn corners, you could see Alex here, you could see this there. As I'm sure you guys know, when you go through, there's actually people in different spots. So he was like, Joe, he's like, can you shoot this? Can you hit all these things? And I was like, yeah. I'm like, I got this. So when we kind of continued on, it was he would always find the most complex shot that he wanted to use, and he would write a character as a camera operator. And I've always been known as an ethnically ambiguous person, so I would just change how I look a little bit. Do things like it was really funny because most people didn't really know until 2022 Carmichael Manor. That's when people were like, wait a second, do you play all of these different characters in these movies? Yes. So, but
connecting the dots.
yeah. So, but anyway, so I was shooting all of those things. And so when we got to the third, I was Louis. So I played the clown when I was not being Louis, but when I was being Louis, we had one of our PAs be the clown. And then when we got to Carmichael Manor and we started moving in that direction, that was when we went to make that movie. We were now in a place where like people have been telling us for the last couple of years how amazing Hell House is. And anytime we talk to someone, they'd recommend it. And anytime these Halloween lists and these like scientists saying the scariest things, we were just like, we were there with the Sinister and with, Conjuring and with these movies that we look up to. And so that point, it was like, okay, we need a face for the franchise. And so what happened was, I remember from the first one on, I kept telling Steve, like, hey, we should sell this mask. Like, we should, like, market this mask
Dude,
out
I
there.
would love.
Like, I saw everything that Terrifier was doing with Art the Clown, and I'm like, they're doing such a great job. Like, we could do the same thing. And he never wanted to. And I didn't know why. So I kind of pushed it on my own separately. And I found out later why, that he was always afraid that the original person, the original mask owner, was going to sue us. Like he was always
Understandable though.
And like 100%. Like I get it. And he was the one who was financially investing in it too. So like it would have been his ass on the line. So
Yeah.
Totally understand that. But what I did was when we got to Carmichael Manor, I was like at the point where I was like, fuck this. I'm just going to do this on my own. And like, I'll just tell him afterwards. Cause again, me not thinking, oh, we can get sued. I was thinking like, well, what are the possibilities of what we can do with this? So I was talking with Ruby's, which is like one of the biggest sellers of like Halloween masks in the US. And they were like, it's too small for us, but we know these people. Their company's name is Paleface. They're based in Ohio. You should chat.
Oh, I know Paleface.
Yeah. So I chatted with Jasmine and Bishop. And the first thing they said to me was, who owns the rights? And I was like, I don't know. I'm like, I literally have tried to find the mask owner. Every website I go to, all the sites are now political sites. And it's like, I can't find anyone associated with this. And Bishop was like, give me 2 weeks. And Bishop came back to me. And not only did he come back to me and find the guy who was the original rights holder, he got him to sign over the rights to me. And
hell
awesome.
Yeah.
And so basically I went to Steve and I was like, hey, one, we're going to sell this. And I was like, and two, we're working with a company now because we were using the same exact mask for all 3 movies. And then Angie uses them for her haunt because she has a Hell House section. So by the time, we're 6-7 years into making these movies, the mask's falling apart. It's cat piss. And I was like, and I was so precious. I'm like, we got to like make sure that we hold on to this thing and like don't lose it. And so when I spoke with Bishop was like, take a bunch of photos and send them to me. And then I flew out to Ohio and he made like the most amazing versions of them. And he made 100 of them and he made all of these. And we were like, great, we're going to use these in the movies moving forward. And we made like different weathered versions, like cleaner, weathered, darker, like depending on what we wanted to do with the movies. And Steve wrote in the movie, just like he did with the first movie, that there was the Hell House LLC clown and then these 2 other clowns for a couple scares. And I was talking with Bishop and Bishop was like, do you guys need any other masks? And I was like, well, Steve's going to buy 2 other like generic bullshit masks to play these clowns. Why don't we do something? And like, why don't we just hire you guys and you guys make 2 more clowns for us? And
there you go.
And Bishop was like, what if we play with the kind of motif theme of the bleeding eyes? And what if we do like the hear no evil, speak no evil, see no evil? And I was like, I love that. I'm like, I was like, come up with something and send it to me. And I was like, and let's take a look at it. And so he sent me the mock-ups for them. And I was like, holy shit, this is so fucking cool. And I was like, just make it. I'm like, just make it. We'll use these. I'm like, I'm not going to tell Steve. I'm like, just make it. And then he made them. He made the molds for them and he made them. And I sent them to Steve. And Steve loved them so much that he made both of those characters bigger characters and rewrote the story to have both of those be a bigger part of the story.
That is so awesome.
That's so
adding
cool.
more lore. There you go. He's adding more plot points that he has to put together at the end.
Yeah.
I wanted to touch on the clown just real quick because the clown is more or less the central point of the scares of this franchise. But in Origins was the first time you guys as of that point put in like an actual jump scare.
Right.
Like what was the thought process and like why wait till then?
So you're talking about for the clown specifically,
No, I'm talking about like when she's Rebecca's on her computer having a Zoom meeting,
right?
and then
That jump scare.
that jump scare where it's like right next to her face. Like that's the first like literal actual
Right.
jump scare. Everything else is like subtle scares. Like if you not looking, you missed it, but if you
Right.
see it, it's scary as fuck.
I think honestly that was more of Steve just trying to do more
Oh, okay.
not do the same thing over and over again. Because I remember when we started the movie and when he talked with me about Hell Houses, he didn't want to do jump scares. He wanted to stay away from that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
He wanted the more subtle stuff. But again, when you're on your fourth movie 8 years in, like you got to do new things and you got to try new things. And I think that was more of a just trying to like go into the kind of wheelhouse and see what else we can do and try other things and see if it worked.
Okay,
Oh, it
hell yeah.
did. It
Oh, yeah,
worked.
it really fucking
Very
it really did.
effective.
But I know we're all chomping at the bits because you said there's some loose ends that you can talk about, and some that we got right, and some that we got very
And listen,
wrong.
I can talk about whatever the hell I want to talk about.
Oh,
Okay. Hey, okay.
People will
So
be upset at me if we're
go,
different
go
stuff.
ahead, Anna.
the one question that I really want to know is, it was Max related to Billy Braddock?
Was Max related to Billy Braddock?
Because Max in Lineage, I feel like his character was totally unnecessary because we never really figure out why. He says his grandpa was in the truck, but the only person he could have been related to was Billy Braddock. But then that's also something that's never really I think Vanessa mentions it in 3 right before your character walks in. She's
Right.
like, Billy Braddock incident's very
Yeah.
disturbing, and then we never really get all the info about that either.
It's funny because episode 4 or 5 of the Abaddon tapes was the Billy Braddock case.
I
And,
read that and I was like,
yeah,
"Ah."
and so, but no, the answer to that is he's not related to him.
Oh,
Who the hell is he related
as far as
to?
what we conceived. But that being said, this is where like I can tell you for sure, like Steve might rewrite something in the future and change it. So like you could be right. You know that's
Okay.
that's the fun that I think he's had with writing this stuff is when people pull at these strings. If he likes it enough, he could tie it all back together the way, and you know what I mean. And that's kind
Mhm.
of. But the way
And it worked.
the way we crafted the Abaddon tapes, no, that is not a connection. At least to my knowledge, that is not a connection.
Okay.
all right.
Yeah.
What is the relation between Vanessa and Mitchell? Like,
So you guys hit this one on the head. I was like, yeah,
Yes.
that's exactly what it is. Yeah, they're brother and sister, and they're both Tully's
Oh,
kids.
Yeah, but who's the
yes.
dad?
Oh, Tully. He just said Tully. It's Tully's
Yeah, they're
kids.
both Tully's kids.
Hell yeah.
Oh, okay,
Yes.
so
Oh man.
I
Tully,
really-
it was Beverly, which is the woman that was at the hotel that Tully slept with, and she had twins. And the twins
all right,
were
because we
messed
were
up.
also thinking it was
Dipped.
who did we
No,
say?
you said that. You said that, and I was like, yeah, that's exactly what we were planning on. That's the whole thing. Like that's the that. And again for us, because I know you guys mentioned something about like why Mitchell was there and what he was doing and like all that kind of stuff. And it's like, yeah, I think the whole intention was we were sort of kind of moving in the direction of the reason why he chose himself and why he didn't sacrifice himself is because he's the one carrying it on.
I fucking told you, Dustin. Like he is.
Shut the
I'm gonna
fuck
see
up.
myself out now. He's still on the island in my book.
Mitchell is just a vessel to continue on. Holy shit! I told you that.
And listen, again, I just want to make sure I'm very clear with this.
Can't believe
When
this.
we crafted the Abaddon tapes, that was what we were going with.
Okay.
Oh my god.
Now, granted, by the time, so here's the thing: we never say never. You never say never. We're
Sure.
both gone. We're both going to do different things. I have a funny feeling. I've brought opportunities to Steven. He said he didn't want to let anyone make the movies or continue on, and he kind of wants to just let it lie. My assumption is at some point he'll want to come back to it, and it gives us that opportunity to go in that direction. Does that mean that could change? Does that mean that like if we didn't spell it out in a movie, could it be something completely different? Like 100%. Like that's the fun of like hearing people's theories and kind of confirming them and being like, yes, this is it. Because like, I know that there's like a timeline that Steve had put out. So that's like out there, but like it's not in the movie, so we can change it if we wanted to. You know what I mean?
Right.
I'm sure fans would hate it.
Retcon.
But yeah,
Oh,
but
yeah,
that was always the intention. And the end of the movie was like, I think you guys said it. I forgot which one of you said it, but like Vanessa recognizes Mitchell because Mitchell is the one from hell,
The tapes.
from the
tapes,
and all that other stuff. She doesn't know that Mitchell's her brother.
Oh,
Right.
I fucking knew it.
Right. Yeah.
It's like the Jedi feel that she has, like she knows there's something there,
Yep.
can't pinpoint what it is.
So when Mitchell is on the talk show in 2, does he know who Arnold Tasselman is? Does he know that's
Not at
really
that point.
Tully?
No,
Not
no, no.
that
He
point.
finds it out when he finds out in the movie. That's
when he gets-
Okay, that's
when he gets
all
the
genuine.
offer,
Okay.
like that's why he picked her instead of saying "fuck her." I don't know her. He's like, "All right, I will carry on your lineage,
Oh.
Anna."
I
But,
have one question, and I brought this up. It was definitely Lake of Fire, and I was asking everybody, and they didn't know. So there's this one part where it's like towards the end is when Russell is starting to do like he's going to
Oh.
attack, right? There's this one part when he's walking in a hallway and there's people around him and he's recording.
Mhm.
I had a theory that he's able to walk between life and death because he has been there. So that scene, nobody sees him. So is he walking?
I mean, when we did the movie, no, like he's not walking through there, but that's actually pretty cool. So sure.
Okay.
There it is,
okay.
Dustin.
All right. You can take that.
I
You
mean,
have
he
that now.
definitely has the ability to. He definitely has some form of sixth sense because of what he's been through. So
Sure.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, thanks. I'm gonna write that down. I'll send it.
Yeah.
To
Yeah.
Yeah,
Bring back
yeah.
Russell. Yeah. Let's go.
Oh,
No
man.
Brock though. Brock
How
is
Hey,
there.
you
scary.
stop it. Leave Brock out of this.
How scary was it to stay at the Carmichael or whatever the house is really called? in
You know
real
what's
life?
funny? The Abaddon Hotel was not scary at all because it was a haunted house attraction and like it had like areas that were cold and whatever, and it was like, but it wasn't like it was more scary the hotel that we stayed at because there was some like weird shit going on with the beds and the people around the area. But the Carmichael Manor was definitely one of the places where I think a lot of people were scared to stay at because it is a mansion. It's like a multi-mansion. There's so many rooms. There's so like every room has a bathroom, and every room on the second floor, at least in one wing, it's like room, bathroom, and the bathroom connects to the other room and another bathroom, and so all of the rooms
Jesus.
are connected.
Oh,
Wow.
wow.
So yeah, and so like you have to lock the doors when you go to bed or whatever, and like so it's very isolated. Now I'm gonna say this. I know we have big fans who do like the ghost hunting and all that kind of stuff. We've never experienced anything like that, but I will say like the first night we went to shoot Hell House Origins, Sophie Schneider, our production and costume designer, she was the first one there, and Steve met her there. And she started unloading all of her stuff, and then Steve left to go handle a bunch of stuff. And she was there for like 4 hours as when it got really dark and late before I showed up.
Mm.
Like she was like, I just wanted to stay in the room. I turned all the lights in the house on or whatever. But
Yeah.
you know,
That's what I would
Yeah.
do.
Yeah.
and the guy who played his name's Bo. The guy who played what's his name in the he's the
Chase?
one. What'd you say?
Chase, the brother?
No, in Lineage, he's the one.
The caretaker?
He's Bobby Hopewell.
Oh, Bobby Hope.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
He was the same thing. We had a car pick him up and like bring him to the house, and we were shooting that day, and I think we were doing a night shoot. So he came to the house for the first time at night and walked in, and like no one was there.
Jesus.
Holy shit.
And yeah, and he was like, and then I think I was the first one to show up, and he was like, "Hey man, how's it going?"
Yeah, I'm not
Yeah,
scared
you
at
okay?
all. What the heck are you even saying?
I will say I was very much expecting those suits of armor to start fucking moving around because
Yeah.
and
Very
missed
unit
opportunity
production
there.
managers.
I
Those
think
are
you
like
guys could have did
reversible
something
suits.
crazy.
Yeah, because we have friends who are friends with you, like Casey and Sam from Screams from the Basement.
Yep.
And they were
Love
they
those
were
guys.
telling me about like one time they talked to you and you were there and you're like, yeah, it's
I've
scary as
been on their
fuck
show
here.
3 times. I think.
Oh.
I'm a triple guest for them.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he
but-
said, yeah, when they came on for Origins, and they said I think once you get to 4-timer, they're gonna get you a robe.
Like
Yeah.
SNL, yeah, you're gonna get that fucking 5-timers robe,
Nice.
Yeah.
man. But I want to talk. I mean, I guess since we're here, let's talk a little bit about the sequence. Like, what do you want to talk? Are you
Sure.
able to, since it's running in the circuits? Are you able to talk about it? Or?
Yeah. No, it's awesome. I got brought on to direct that in 2024. I met the writer, producer Brian Laprosino. He dreamt. Have any of you guys seen it? Do you guys know what it's about?
Not yet. We see it's at Film Quest right now, and that's
Yeah,
we did Fantastic Fest, and we were kind of like, all right, let's pump the brakes on the fest real quick.
Yeah.
And then
No, we
Yeah.
had a nice little run. We were at Scream Fest. We were at the Newark, Delaware Fright Fest Festival. We were at Nightmare Fest. We won Best Overall Short at Nightmare Fest.
oh,
Wow.
nice.
Let's go.
And then we just did. We were nominated for Best Short and Best Horror Short at Film Quest, but we didn't win. But it's funny because awards are subjective, but whatever.
Yeah.
Right.
So
Yeah, I don't care.
yeah, so it's a psychological movie. It's about a mother who has a nightmare and that she kills her family, and then basically as the day goes on, she starts moments and things from her dream sequence start to play out in real life. So she does everything she can to make sure that that doesn't happen, that her dream doesn't become reality.
Oh,
Nice.
So yeah, so it was a proof of concept for a feature. We're in the process of writing the feature right now. Like I said, we just did the
Let's
festival
go.
one, and I was very fortunate to get a really awesome cast. I got Katie Parker from a lot of Mike Flanagan stuff as my lead in it. She was incredible, and yeah, it was for a lot of people who know me, they were like, "Holy shit, this is dark, Joe," and I'm like, "Yeah." Because I think the last thing I directed was another Cabin in the Woods movie, which is like a spoof movie. So
Mhm.
so yeah, it's finishing its festival run. I think it's at you can get it on like I think it's EOFlix for FilmQuest and still watch it I think for the next couple days. But then I mean we're probably going to put it out at some point, but our hopes is to shoot the feature next year. So we'll see.
Nice.
nice.
Yes.
Get the
My question about it is, how long is it?
It's 14 minutes and 58 seconds long.
Nice.
Perfect.
That's
Yeah.
a good length for
I
something
have a
like a short
saying.
like that.
Have a
I wish
saying.
it was shorter. So Brian, the guy who wrote and produced it, he actually the dream sequence in the movie, he actually dreamt that dream sequence, and that's what he wrote. And
Oh
so
shit, let's
when
go.
he brought me the script is 25 pages long, and I was like, "Oof!" I'm like, hey, "What do you want to do with this?" I'm like, "Is this a proof of concept? Like, were we gonna like?" He's like, "Yeah." He's like, "I want you to make the feature with me," and I was like, "Okay." And I was like, "But are we going to do festivals?" And he's like, "Yeah." And I was like, "We cannot make a 25-minute movie. It's not going to get in anywhere." And he was like, "Oh, really?" And I was like, "Yeah." I was like, "The shorter the better." And I like, you get it. Like,
Uh-huh.
if you have 10 slots for movies and you let in one 30-minute movie, you're probably that's like taking up 3 or 4 slots. If you have a 5-minute movie, you can have 10 more 5-minute movie, or you know what I mean? Like you
Yeah,
can get
yeah.
more content in for your programming, you can get more butts in the seats, you can sell more tickets. So it's in your best interest to make a shorter film. And I think a lot of times, a lot of people do short films as proof of concepts. And I
Uh-huh.
think a lot of filmmakers that I've seen over the course of my career is they'll make a mistake because they try to, in essence, tell a feature length version movie in a short film. And it's like the best shorts, the ones that actually go on to turn into features, are the ones that like you're just seeing the concept, you're seeing the snippets. Like I'm sure you guys have seen the Lights Out before they made
I'd
Yeah,
say
yeah.
Lights Out,
like
Mama.
that's a
Mama was a
scary
really good one.
there you go. All they are scare
Yeah.
sequences. They're not
Mhm.
full length movies. They're not getting a full character arc. So,
Yeah.
so I think I talked him into kind of changing some things and making adjustments, and I was able to get him down to a 22-page script. But that's still in my mind a 22-minute. That's going to be a 22-minute thing. So
Mhm.
when I finished the movie, my rough cut was about 18 minutes long, and my note to him when I sent it to him was, "Here's my rough cut. I want to cut out 4 minutes, but I wanted to talk to you before I do it because I think you're married to a lot of the stuff that I shot, and I want to make sure." I have this. I don't know why. A lot of times when people shoot things, they get so married to like, "Oh my God, that shot took hours. It was so great. Like we need to keep it in." I'm so objective when I'm in the editing room. If I get in there and it doesn't make sense, I don't care how pretty it is. I don't care how great the performance is. Just get it out of there. Like we don't need it. And
Fair
so
enough.
we got to that point, and I was like, "There's 4 things that I want to get rid of in this, and it'll cut it to under 14 minutes." And he was like, "Oh, really?" And I was like, "Just let me do it." I'm like, "Let me do it, and I'll show it to you." And I did it with my editor Nick Landa, who's a big part of that, and my like creative partner. And we presented it to them, and we changed the entire dream sequence because he wrote the dream sequence linearly, and we shot it linearly. And when
Oh,
you
nice.
watch it in the movie, it's not shown linearly; it's shown very chopped up, and
Oh
it's
wow.
yeah.
Interesting.
Mm.
And the thought process behind that was, I don't think people, when you really have a nightmare and you really have a fucked up dream, you don't really like, if you actually think about it, it's not point A to point B to point C. It's like you're at a house and you're running, and then all of a sudden you're on the beach, and then like you're just like, it doesn't fucking make sense. And so that
Hmm.
was
Yeah.
one of the things that I always said to him I wanted to do is like, I want to make
It's
the dream not make sense. Like I want people to watch it, and like I'm not a huge experimental film person, but I was like, I want people to watch this movie and in the first 2 minutes think that they're about to watch an experimental film. And then all of a
I
sudden,
like that.
and so
Yeah.
that's what we did.
Very nice.
It's like the Everlong music video for Foo Fighters. That's like a whole dream and it's all over the place. Like, what the fuck is going
Yep.
on?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and eventually, like over here on Barrens, we do a segment called Tales from the Barrens, which we take 3 short films and make our own little anthology out of it.
Oh, cool.
eventually.
Covered.
I was going to
How
say, do
many
you guys
have we
want me
covered?
to send you a screener link? You can
I'm not going to say no.
I'll
I'm gonna
say
say-
yes.
I'm not gonna
Yeah.
put it in your
I wanna
anthology,
watch
but
it.
if you just want to take a peek, I'll shoot you guys.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
That'd be tight.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Yeah, because you're talking about short films turning into concepts, and I just wanted to poke fun at one we did called Heck.
Okay.
Are
Oh,
you
Lord. I wasn't on that episode.
I'm gonna leave
Hold
again.
on, Dust. Are you a fan of Skinamarink? Did you like?
No, I am not.
All right, so imagine
Me
a short
neither.
film, a 30-minute short film.
By the way, just for the record, this is where I take everything with a grain of salt. There's nothing wrong with those filmmakers. There's nothing wrong with that movie.
Yeah.
Not my taste. Not my
It's
taste. It wasn't scary to me. It was a corner of a room. Like, that doesn't scare me.
Not at all.
But, this is what I always check. Whenever people are like, oh my God, Hell House is like the 9th best, scariest movie according to scientists. And I look at that list and I'm like, okay. And then I look at number 1 and it's like Sinister. And I'm like, yes. I'm like, that movie scared the shit out of me.
Yeah.
When I see Skinamarink at 3, I'm like, wait a second.
Oh my god.
That's how I feel. I'm like, that's dumb. So
I love
don't
that
want to look
movie.
at a. I don't want to look at a fucking corner, let alone like Dustin brought it into 30-minute short film.
Yep.
It's not so short. It's
Come on,
fucking
Joe.
long.
I feel you as a parent now, if you go back and rewatch that movie, it's going to fuck you up. And that's why it fucked me up and why I love it so much.
I appreciate that, but I promise you it won't. I promise.
There it is.
I have had this thing in my entire career where telling a story is really challenging. Telling a story is really difficult. And I remember when I was in film school, every single person except for one person in my class, there was 10 of us, made an experimental film for their thesis film. And it was like, oh, I'm trying to explore my arts and show you who I am or whatever. And I remember being like, this is an entertainment business. Like, I'm going to make a movie and I'm going to entertain the shit out of the audience. And I made a comedy that had like a pretty dark, twisted, fucked up thing happen in it. And it was like, everyone laughed, everyone enjoyed it. And like, I had someone approach me afterwards to go make it into a feature. And so I was like, I think a lot of times people want to just express their artistic side of things, but they don't realize that like there are people who try to express all their arts and like want to be this artist and want to like really express themselves, but they don't know how to tell a story. They don't know how to tell a story of this person started in this scene and got to this place, like A to B. Like they don't know how to tell the simplest things. And so with something like Skinamarink, the issue that I had with it is, in essence, like I get it. You could like, a lot of times, and it's the same thing with Hell House. You guys have like pulled at threads and kind of created things and kind of jumped into this whole world. I think a lot of people watched that movie and were like, what the fuck am I watching? And then they tried to analyze it and were like, well, maybe this means this and this means this. And then they're talking about that. And then other people are talking about that, which is great that people are having that conversation. But to me, I was like, I would never make a movie like that. Like, that's not just, I wouldn't want to watch that movie. And I didn't, and I felt like when I saw it in theaters, I was like, man, how, like, you're pointing at the corner, like, there's nothing scary about that. Like even with the little kids, even with the cartoon, like, I just wasn't scared about it. Like,
right.
and like, again, I'm not, knocking you, Dustin, for saying.
No, it's fine. They knocked me for it.
I'll knock him for you. It's
It's
okay.
fine. It's fine.
But also, I come from I've evolved as a filmmaker, but I come from the slasher background. So for me, like a blood, flesh and blood killer who's going to kill you, that has always been the more scary thing for me. Like serial killers have always been much more scary to me than ghosts and supernatural and all that kind of stuff. Now, that being
Sure.
said, if supernatural exists and is real, then holy shit, like I'm in for a whole other fucking world of scary. But I'm not a religious person, so a lot of religious stuff, like when you're playing on religious, like it's scary to a lot of people who are religious, but to me it's not as scary because I don't believe in that stuff. So
Yeah, fair
it's
enough.
the same thing. It's if if you want, I've evolved. Supernatural stuff scares me, ghosts scare me, that kind of stuff, and I think I like can play with a lot of that stuff. But again, I think slasher roots have always been my thing of like, put someone in there who's gonna, carve you up. That's pretty fucking scary.
Very
And
nice.
it's fun to watch.
Do you guys have any other questions, Dustin?
I don't
I think
so.
I'm kind of tapped out.
Yeah, I think we've
Yeah.
touched on everything. We've got some loose ends tied up. We got some answers
Mhm.
that Anna's going to write down here shortly on her.
Very
I'm
good
gonna have to go
question.
back and watch them again. Look for
Just
Hooded
got
Joe.
you now. Just twist my arm.
Darn.
No, you guys had really good questions, and I'm glad I was able to listen to some of your stuff too. You guys are really funny, and you guys have a good camaraderie together. So
Thank you.
Oh, thanks, man.
yeah.
Yeah. So I guess just a little personal question. Do you have like a top 3 favorite movies of all time?
Movies or horror movies? Because
Movies, 3 movies.
Yeah,
I mean,
like
like
I always say when people are like, "What's your top 10?" Like I can give you my top 10 Disney, my top 10 slasher, my top 10 horror, my top 10 horror
okay.
comedy. No,
So
I can do this. I got you.
think about like your letterboxed top 4. Like
Yeah.
That's what I was just thinking.
the
We'll
top
do a
4 in
top 4.
letterboxed.
Okay, so I have a few. First one to appease to the horror fans is Nightmare on Elm Street. Like I'm a hardcore.
I saw your tattoo.
Yeah, I have a lot. Yeah, so Freddy Krueger. Yeah, never sleep again. Right.
Yeah.
Hell yeah,
So,
man.
so I think that I always think that it's interesting because I think what Oren Peli did with Paranormal Activity was take what Blair Witch did that was in the woods and like you could be scared of it, but it's like I'm not going in the woods, so I'm not scared. And he brought it into your home. I think Wes Craven did that exact same thing with slashers and with these like villains in the 80s. Is you were like it was like, oh my God, Michael Myers in the late 70s, but it was like, oh, I'm not related to him, so I'm okay. Or I'm not going to a cabin in Friday the 13th, so I'm okay. And it's like he took something, and sure, you could say you have to be related to someone who did this thing on Elm Street, but he took something and he put it into your subconscious, and
Yeah.
that's terrifying. So I've always been fascinated with that. I have many issues with sleep, so it's always been kind of like my go-to for like sleep analysis and everything. But love those movies. And Robert Englund's pretty awesome. So that's number one. Number two is because I told you guys I am a big comedy guy. Is A Shot in the Dark, which is technically the second Pink Panther movie.
Okay, hell yeah.
I love that movie.
That I can't
Yeah.
believe you just
That's
said
probably my
that.
favorite
That's one
movie.
of my favorite movies that I grew up with that I
Yeah.
will rewatch all the time and me and my dad can just quote it from start
Yep.
to finish.
Yeah.
I can't believe I was that young watching it thinking
Every
that kind of
single
comedy
time,
was funny.
Every single time my wife says bump, I'm like, a bump?
A bump?
Bump?
Yes, a bump.
But no, Peter Sellers is the man. And it's funny because like a lot of people, especially like in their 30s, 20s or whatever, they don't know those Pink Panther movies.
I
But
know.
it's like you watch 2 or 3 of those movies and you very much understand why Austin Powers exists or
Yeah.
why all of these
So
other
true.
characters.
So true.
So incredible. And then the third one, I will say is Clue.
God, dude,
That's a good one.
Very nice.
There's a good documentary out about it too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wish they had more in the documentary. I feel like they didn't.
Yeah, I'm right
much.
there with you. Could be like a two-parter, you know.
I mean, you didn't get a lot from that movie because this movie, I mean, that's a cult movie. And I think, I'm sure you guys know this about this, but like the reason why that movie didn't do well at the box office was because they didn't release all of the endings. You would go see it and they would show one of the endings. But then if you're like, oh, okay, cool, let me go see it again. I want to see another ending. You would get maybe the same exact ending. And like, it might take you 12 times to get all the endings and people weren't going to do that. So
interesting.
It was a marketing ploy that, unfortunately failed.
Yeah,
that movie needs
that
a Criterion treatment.
That cast is so incredible. And
oh my God, yes.
Timing in that movie with everyone. And obviously Tim Curry's a genius.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So,
that movie deserves a Criterion treatment.
Listen, if you want some horror stuff, Shaun of the Dead, Evil Dead, I always say the big three, so Friday the 13th, Halloween. I actually think for the budget, Halloween, 1978 Halloween is the best horror movie ever made. I think I personally I like the Dream stuff with Freddy better, but I think for like an actual budget, I think the movie's made for $300,000. For the simplicity of a bunch of babysitters being stalked by this killer who literally chose this person because they showed up at his house. Like that simplicity.
Get off my lawn.
Yeah, incredible. So I stand by that one, and I'm sure all my Halloween fans love it.
Yeah, but Halloween is 78 exactly is my number one movie across the board.
Yeah. And just to shout out Halloween one more time, the intro to all of our retrospect was a character Dustin and I conceived last year called Moaning Myers, and he was voiced by Daniel, which asked that question earlier in the episode.
Yeah, we did a retrospective of all the Halloween movies, and boy, did we get them all out before Halloween.
Wow.
Yes.
Yeah.
Did I want to kill myself? Yes. Did we put out like 3 or 4 episodes a week? Yes, we did.
Yeah.
They were funny.
Man, that's all. So many different storylines and so many things to play on.
Yep. Even the Rob Zombie ones.
I'll say that. Yeah, no, Rob Zombie. Rob Zombies would be great if Michael Myers and the essence of suburbia took place in rural, like hickish, the South. But that's not.
Yeah.
The movie
Yeah, man.
Halloween H2O, I feel like is one of the ones that I feel like gets slept on too much. That's like my
I
Yes.
love
that
H2O.
one's so good, and and it's like scary. Like the way, like when Michael Myers kills in that movie, it's like he's been searching for her for 20 years and is fucking pissed off.
Yeah, hell
Yeah,
yeah.
I love that
Feel
one.
rage. Yeah.
I do too. Well, Joe, this has been wonderful. Thank you so much for joining us. We won't keep you. We'll talk all night if you'll let us. If you'll hang out with
No, I
us.
get it. My son's asleep, so I was like, whew.
Oh, you're right, enjoying the time. You guys can follow us on Spotify, Apple, all the major podcatchers. We're also on YouTube, and for $2 a month, you can join our Patreon, get episodes up to a week early. We've got Little D's new show on there, Out of the Basket, and we might have some extra stuff coming up over there as well. So in the meantime, go back and re-listen to all of our Hell House episodes, then check out this interview, and then go rewatch the movies, and then just recycle over and over again.
Wash and repeat.
Rinse and wash it.
Rinse and repeat. Yes.
Love it.
Until next week, we will see you guys then. Bye.